right. What a mess. What a mess. So how was the walk?
Well, the walk was surprisingly manageable coming in. I'm bundled up. It was single degrees. It still wasn't in the negative at that point. But let me tell you, I just went out onto the field post game to shoot our quick little Sun Sentinel video with Chris Perkins. And I was just out there for 5 minutes, and my hands inside of gloves were freezing. I could not move those fingers. So the walk back now that it is much colder, deeper into the night, is really going to be challenging. So that'll be that'll pose a greater challenge. But this weather is real, let me tell you.
I can imagine. I can imagine. By the way, Welt Rheaume can help you out in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beaches. 954-966-4646. Even one of our listeners in Orlando hired Welt Rheaume. They also have an office in the Keys. So an office in Hollywood, an office in the Keys. Call them: bankruptcy, condo damage, criminal defense, personal injury, commercial litigation. Call Welt Rheaume. 954-966-4646. All right, my brother. This was a terrible performance. Obviously, the offense failed once again. And the two guys that are going to be, the talk of the entire offseason is going to be Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa. Unfortunately, both guys did not perform well. And especially for me, Mike McDaniel is probably the biggest issue with the Miami Dolphins going into the offseason. Not that you're going to fire him, because there's no chance he's going to get fired or anything like that. But I think he's not a play caller. He's one of the worst play callers I have ever seen in my life. He's a play designer. Yeah, he can design plays, but he has no rhyme or rhythm to anything that he does out on the field. And what's obvious, he cannot see. And his team is constantly unprepared. So your thoughts on McDaniel and Tua?
Yeah, for McDaniel, I mean, it might come down to just his pride, his own pride. If he wants to go ahead and give up those play calling duties to either an offensive coordinator, Frank Smith, who is up for head coaching opportunities, that maybe you want to delegate that to Frank Smith, see how he can do at it. And then allow Mike McDaniel to go ahead and give yourself an overall greater look at the team and handle things as a head coach. Now, he was a first-time play caller when he started doing it as a head coach. He wasn't doing it as offensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers in 2021, his one season as OC, before quickly moving up the ranks to head coach. That'll be something that he has to take an introspective look at himself and determine if he truly believes that he can do it while also calling plays, and if he can see it and say, all right, we're much better off if I delegate this to maybe Frank Smith and he can just focus on that as an offensive coordinator. And Tua, now, I wasn't going to make some grand judgments on him in a game that's the fourth coldest in history, and I'm not going to make the excuse for him either. But, you want to see him win big games, and this was another opportunity to win a big game, and he didn't do it. So, in fact, it turned into 3 consecutive to finish the season.
It's not just win, dude. He didn't play well, period. Yeah. You could lose the game and play your ass off. You know what I'm saying? And I'm good with that then. It sucks. You have to live with it. But he didn't play well at all. And so that's the other problem on that, too. It's not so much you lost. It's how you lose. That's really my issue with all of this.
Yeah. You can tell he wasn't in a rhythm. The third downs were a huge issue. They went 1 of 12 on third downs in this game. So unable to sustain drives. We saw it last week. The Bills dominated time of possession on the Dolphins, and then the inability to sustain drives is a huge part of that, because it takes both offense and defense. Patrick Mahomes is playing in these same conditions. And sure, he's seen them more often, and I know the stats where him in below 40 weather and versus Tua, which Tua only had a sample size of 4 games, but he lost all 4 coming into this one. This is completely different. But
we can't compare any of this. Do you know why we can't compare this? Because Andy Reid's team is not constantly shooting themselves in the foot because they can't get plays in on time, because they have pre-snap penalties, because they drop footballs, because they turn over the ball. Okay, that's the difference. this is the part that I would follow up with you on. While Mike McDaniel helps your offense with play designing, he hurts your offense and your players by the same way too, because I tweeted it. You come out right in the one drive. You have 8-yard run, a 3-yard run, a 4-yard run, and a 6-yard run. You end up on 3rd and 1. What do you call? You get cute with a pass play to Mostert, where Tua's not even. He doesn't even have his fingers on the laces of that football, and so it's a bad pass. So you don't learn your lesson. 4th and 1. What do? You call another pass play. When, brother, your running game is killing them. Just run. Halftime. He tells Kaylee Hartung, we need to run the ball more. The first freaking drive of the second half. First play, incompletion pass. Second play, run. Mostert, 5 yards. Third play, there you go with an attempted pass that Tua then has to try to run because he got pressured for a yard. He doesn't help your quarterback. He doesn't help your offense. He doesn't have a feel for the game at all. It's just, to me, that's my problem with Mike McDaniel. He kind of hurts you. By the way, did you catch it in the press conference where Tua pretty much like trashed McDaniel without meaning to do it? Because he didn't mean to do it. It was one of those Tua moments where he was too honest. Did you hear about it? Did you pick it up?
I was there in the room. So which quote are you referring to?
So when he's talking about, well, we get a play in late, and then we're calling the play, and there's motion, there's no time to change the play. Do you think that puts your quarterback in an advantage or a disadvantage?
Yeah.
If you got the play in on time, and then he's got it, and now he has time to look and say, oh, let me change this shit right now. But you got it in so late, you're already setting the play, and if the right defense is there, you're done. So again, and this happens all the time where you don't have the play in on time. That puts your quarterback. I don't think Tua realized that he trashed the shit out of his coach with that statement, because he basically he didn't mean to, but like anybody with a brain is watching this game, seeing that he does this. And so to me, this is a major problem right now for the front office. And I don't even know if Stephen Ross is smart enough to figure this out. But for the front office, they have to see what's going on, that he's really incompetent. He's incompetent.
Yeah, and Tua was just relaying what he truly experiences, without realizing, that means Mike McDaniel is not getting the plays in quick enough, and this is a recurring theme now. I'm feeling deja vu just talking about it. It was a playoff loss last year in Buffalo, where the same exact thing was the biggest reason why, with a different quarterback with Skylar Thompson, and those plays weren't getting in quick enough. And then obviously that game you had a lot of moving parts, the third string quarterback, other injuries on the offensive line, and new guys in there. But the complexities of the offense.
You have an extra juicy story now that we just gave you. Right away, young man. Right away.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. A little bit of a recurring theme there. And as far as sticking with the run.
He even said it in that soundbite that it happens. And so that puts your quarterback at a disadvantage, which the average fan wouldn't pick that up, but that just shows you where McDaniel doesn't help his players.
Yeah, and on the front of sticking with the run, then yes, sometimes Mike McDaniel gets too much into. He outsmarts himself, I think, in this way where he puts so much thought into what the defense is doing, and so if you just play that 8-man front, I'd have to look at what they were actually playing on the 3rd and 1 that you're speaking of. But I imagine he just didn't like the look, and then he'll always go away from that. And I think even like Chris Sims mentioned this. Our Dave Hyde has written it that it's when it's 8 in the box, then he's trying to pass. Or when it's the 2 high safeties, and he's looking to run. It's almost like the offense becomes too predictable with all of that that. So I think sometimes go ahead and instill your will and go ahead and say, all right, we're going to do this, and now it's on you to stop us, even if you know it's coming. Like a great basketball player like Larry Bird at the end of a game calling his shot. I remember there's a story where he said, I'm going to code right to this spot, and you're not going to stop it. Sometimes go out and do that.
You don't even have to go way back in time. Jimmy Butler, you know exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
He's going to drive to the hole on your ass, and you're not probably going to stop it because he's such a force. He's so strong, and his hands are vice grips that in the paint, he's unstoppable practically, right? So it's the same thing. It's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I'd love to see it if it wasn't so dependent on the look, and he just goes ahead and says, "Yeah, we're going to pound you with this rock, especially a game like this in these conditions." Then stick with that run, even if they're going to play the box because they know what's coming, but you have to be able to have the physical presence to do it.
2 weeks ago, I said it. I predicted it that we've reached a fork in the road with Mike McDaniel, and that next year we'll end up putting him on the hot seat if he does all this again. Okay? So we're now 2 weeks removed from that statement. If Mike McDaniel, please tell everybody out there that McDaniel will be back and so will Tua, because I'm trying to tell you, I know people want to fire McDaniel already and they want to move on from the quarterback. Both will be back, bro.
Yeah.
But my point is, next year is really important for Mike McDaniel, because if this same stuff continues and he doesn't make changes and he's the guy calling plays and all these mistakes continue and you continue to, sputter at the end of the season, I don't think he comes back, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean, you and Perk on the same wavelength with this. Perk wrote that column that drew a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention from people. Now, he wasn't saying, okay, this puts him on the hot seat and now he's on the verge of fire. No one's saying that.
No.
If you read, if you listen to what you're saying, if you read what my partner Perk wrote, it's all right. Now we have 2 years where, okay, we already got the playoff appearance that happened last year. Now you need to advance further. You need to have a successful season, start making deeper runs, winning a playoff game, which the franchise hasn't done.
And you're unprepared. And you're unprepared in playoffs.
Some of the things you're talking about here, yeah, definitely. That Mike McDaniel needs to look at himself and figure out how he can coach and lead this team better. And if you're going into another season where the same thing happens, and yes, he already has the built-in excuse of the injuries this year and that you had to play this game in below zero temperatures, although you could have been at home if you just finished off with a 3-game lead with 5 weeks remaining and
3 minutes, 3 minutes and a 14-point lead.
That was the only one you needed to win.
A 14-point lead. Come on.
Yeah. In fact, I think if you would have won that Tennessee game, and even if you lose to Buffalo at home, you avoid Buffalo. I think you would have had Pittsburgh in that scenario while also being number 2. But all that is obviously a moot point at this point. But then these are questions that are going to go into the offseason, go into next season, where it's not hot seat yet. It's just can he prove that he can lead a contender? That's one thing. He's a great coach. He's a
great
whiz, mastermind. All those things offensively. Yeah, he can do a little better with the play calling and situational stuff, which he needs to improve. That's another thing he needs to do. The streamlining the replay flow. However, they do it.
He won one tonight, bro.
Yeah, he won one tonight.
Woo! Break the champagne open.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the real question we got to ask, because people want to find out. Okay. All right.
It's Tua there. Okay.
Yes. So I said this last week, and nobody is a bigger Tua backer than I am, but I'm also objective as a mofo. And I said last week, you can't pay him. And I'm going to back it up again this week. I'm making him play on the 5th-year option. I don't care if he and his agent get pissed off. Too bad, so sad. My brother, you've got to come back and play responsible football. and then we can pay you. Now we know you can stay healthy because you're playing smart football. Now I need you to play responsible football and take care of the football and win in some of these moments, and then we can pay you. They can make him play on the 5th year. They have tags to control his ass. So, and he has nothing to stand on to get mad. He did not get better here, unfortunately, and in key moments. I personally, if I'm Chris Greer and McKenzie and Allen, I'm telling his agent and him, hey, I'm sorry, guys, but we're going to need to wait another year on this, and we're going to have to see how it all plays out, and then we'll talk about it next year. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, and maybe I could see them saying, hey, here's an offer that we'll give you, and it's not going to be the big money that Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert have gotten. But if you're willing to accept this, okay, we'll give it to you. But if not, and you feel and you're going to get upset over this figure that we throw at you, then yeah, we're going to come back and have you on your 5th year option, and then see if it's going to be another prove it year, and then if we could still take it another year after that with the franchise tag, to if we're going year by year. So yeah, I wouldn't commit to, certainly not the price tag that the top 5 quarterbacks are seeing. Yeah, and now he may feel, hey, I have done everything that you have asked of me. I took strides in year 3 under McDaniel with Tyreek Hill joining the team, and then year 4, okay, I still needed to prove that I could stay healthy for a full season, and then you check that off the checklist this year, sure, but this team is about competing and contending at the highest level right now. This roster is built for that. Yes, this roster that we saw tonight has been ravaged by injury, so it wasn't what you ultimately wanted.
Yeah, but the injuries weren't nearly as bad on his side of the football. That's the problem here. The injuries were terrible on the defensive side of the football, but on the offensive side of the football, your injuries weren't crippling enough that you weren't still running the football. Mike McDaniel, please run more. You know, you could have done more, unfortunately, but you didn't. So I can't blame you on the offensive side. There's not that many excuses.
Yeah, he did just get Mostert and Waddle back for this game. They did miss the previous 2 games, but then they were hurt in that Dallas game, and then you won that one. So, and even when Mostert is out, you still have Devon Achane, who is a superior talent. I mean, the elite speedster, and that you can do, who you didn't get into the game too much, and on his part too. Just he didn't have a big game. Jeff Wilson, you still have that. So even when Mostert's out, you have that combination. Waddle, that absence for a couple of games was felt, I believe, because then all the other number 2 options weren't getting separation. It was all on Tyreek. There was a 13 targets to 3 for the next guy in the Bills game. So the offense became very dependent on Tyreek, who was hobbled as well down the stretch when those guys were out. But he had him back in this game.
Yep. All right. What else are you working on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah. Now the season has wrapped up. I have to find out what the Dolphin schedule is. This is the thing about the end of season, is just it was either advanced and then you would have been covering another game, or now it's end of season stuff. So we're ultimately going to be looking at all the off-season storylines, diving right into it. What happens on the coaching staff, and to the Tua talks. Christian Wilkins will go into a big off-season for himself. So yeah, I'll finish wrapping up this game, putting a bow on the season, and then we'll get to all the offseason stuff pretty quickly here.
All right, my brother. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _, and make sure you subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel and support him and all the great writers there. David, safe travels, my brother. Don't freeze too much. Hang in there.
Yeah, I'm almost at the finish line here. I just got to get back to the car and then take the car back to the airport in the morning.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Good season. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. There you go. David Furones with our Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins post-game report. Give him a ring, 954-966-4646.